Hello and welcome back to Darren Doing. I'm Will Hester and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben, how fucking good is this feeling, mate?
West Ham get battered. Everywhere they go.
Everywhere they go.
West Ham get battered.
Mate, it was so funny. They were giving it the big one at 1-0. I was just above them in the stadium. And they're proper giving it the big one, proper like singing their hearts out. 12 minutes into the second half, there was 12 of them left.
Yeah.
It's fucking mental.
That was honestly one of the quickest.
Mental.
That was one of the quickest I've ever seen like an away end filter out. It was unbelievable.
And everyone was going, we can see you sneaking out. Because they were like heads down, sneaking out.
Do you know what? One of my favourite things. Do you remember like at the old we used to, when we were really good under Poch, like when we used to batter teams every week, it was just like the classic na 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 your shit.
Yeah.
That's why Old Trafford away a few weeks ago was brilliant, because it was like those they're cool coming out again. Like it's just like we haven't been able to sing that
teams when we're on form, haven't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just reminded me of being at like White Hart Lane and beating teams like that, and just being like you're shit. You know, your team, you're shit.
The team you support
is shit.
Dedicate your life to. It's fucking shit, mate. What are you doing?
I was a bit nervous when we started, when the South Stand and all that were going big with West Ham get battered everywhere they go. When it was like 3-1, and I was like, oh.
Well, at 4-1, a doggy cleared one off the line, and like who fucking knows what could have happened there? Yeah, mate. I thought he was off. I was behind it. I thought he was, because he started holding his stomach and that. And you know when like, players hold their stomach,
I've been hitting the balls.
Like, yeah. It's like almost a bit like suspicious.
I was confident, even though I was directly in line with it, so I couldn't actually see it. Like, I'm literally where I sit is
never handball.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like right along like the 6-yard line. So like looking at it like straight on.
Yeah.
So, like I just saw him on the line. It's just hit him, and I was like, that could have hit his hand. It could have hit his cock. Looks the same to me. So I was convinced
because he like saved the goal, or because it could have been a handball. I don't think he got the applaudits that he deserved.
It was a great block.
Cleared one off the line. It was a great block.
It did actually hit his hand.
People were so nervous.
It did hit his hand though.
I know, but it was like right in his hand, in his body, wasn't it?
Yeah, body line.
Yeah,
natural silhouette, or whatever that shit is. But yeah, great feeling. And obviously, shame about the Arsenal, innit?
That's the thing. It was literally a weekend of football couldn't actually go better than what it did. Like even Harry Kane got a hat-trick. But I mean, well, fuck him off, mate.
If Carlsberg did weekends, it'd be that, wouldn't
it? well, I don't know. It's like just unbelievable hate watching, but it was kicked off by an absolute hammering by Spurs. And you said it just before we recorded. Like you had that extra 2 hours to sort of revel in it.
Yeah, got longer to drink it in with a Saturday.
Bournemouth, Arsenal loses to Bournemouth, getting a sending off as well. Fucking inject it, mate.
Arguably their most important player.
And also, and
then the day after with the fucking Chelsea one, City. And then City, and then the fact that Adebayo did exactly the same thing.
I know. Well, the thing is, I saw a thing. It was like Declan Rice went to the officials at half time or full time, and he was like, "Every week, referee, stop getting sent off, then, you fucking idiots! Like you're doing it to yourself." It's like that. It's like that meme of I think I actually saw this, but it's that stick man riding a bike. He puts a stick in his wheel, falls over, and he's like, "Refs hate us."
Yeah, literally. Yeah, what do you expect? You do it to yourself. Yeah,
mate, it's so good. And then Chelsea losing. Although Chelsea actually look quite good.
Yeah, they do look good.
I really hope they're just on a manager high and they start crumbling, because
I think they were actually quite disappointed yesterday. I did a Twitter space yesterday for JLA where it was just Chelsea fans, and they were all quite disappointed because it was like that was there for us. Like Liverpool were good, don't get me wrong, but I think Chelsea were like we should have got something out of that game, which says a lot about you. But like you said, this kind of happened with Maresca last year at Leicester, so. Anyway,
yeah, cool, yeah. And also, I'm expecting them to start falling off, because a lot of their personnel they've got, when it's going well, it's going well. It's like Man United,
like
so many like egos there, so many players, but then and on high contracts. But when the going gets rough, they'll just go hiding. I feel like, so I'm not too worried about Chelsea. But I mean, they lost. That's good for us. Arsenal, we're 4 points off Arsenal, mate.
Could we?
It's not over till it's over. 10 games in, 4 points of Arsenal. I mean, you would take that, right? Like, considering how many fucking games we've dropped points in already as well.
Yeah, and we've scored more goals than them. and conceded. He scored more goals than anyone in the league. Joint with City, I think now, but yeah.
Oh, really?
Conceded as many goals as City. Only conceded one more goal than Arsenal. I think we've actually conceded less XG than Arsenal. Are they
in the XG table?
Are they actually shit?
Mate,
I was watching them on
Saturday. It's not sustainable.
Like, it's not. It's not. Is it almost like the years of like, okay, Arsenal for me, look, they could win the league this year maybe, but Arsenal were that season where they really nearly won it the first time. I know they had worse players, and they obviously fell off massively towards the end of the season with like when Holding and that came in, and obviously Saliba was out for the rest of the year. I thought they looked better then when they were actually trying to play football.
Yeah,
they were really dangerous, and now it's like I think you can. I think there's like a. I think they're a bit chinny. Like I think you can get at them. I think like. I don't know. Like people say that we're chinny because it's like, well, we show so much and like so open, obviously, like a boxer, which we are. But we conceded less XG than the best defensive team in the world, with the best centre back partnership in the world. So, you know, they are vulnerable. They have a vulnerability about them, and could have finished above them. I'd love to play that North London derby again now. I'd love it again.
Yeah,
that was such a fucking like. If we'd, I don't know, like
we hadn't clicked Solanke as well. That was Solanke's second game, and he just come back from injury. So, like, you think about that chance, Solanke. I know we're going over.
Yeah, it just wasn't quite sharp enough, was he? In that, like,
yeah, no, exactly. But I would fucking fancy us right now against Arsenal.
Yeah,
but I feel like Arteta's too prangy now. He's gone way too pragmatic because I think he's been hurt so many times by just not getting there. He's now over. I think he's. Over focused on defending now because I feel like he thinks defense wins your titles and that we need to defend, we need to concede less goals.
Yeah,
and he's just fucking turned him into Tony Pulis's West Brom.
Boring.
Boring. and then you look at us. I mean, 4 points. Okay, it don't really work because we're 4 points behind. But good team to watch.
4 point. Well, if we
love watching us,
they lose to Liverpool. 1 point. They got Liverpool next weekend. Oh
my God.
It's a good day, Robbie.
That is, I forgot about that. And they don't have Saliba.
Yeah, exactly.
Although Palace at Selhurst Park, that's hard.
Yeah.
Eze, just fucking don't do it.
They've been shit though this year, haven't they? They're playing tonight, aren't they? Please. Why is it Palace only ever play on Monday nights?
Yeah, I feel like they do all the time. Who are they playing?
Forest.
Well, okay. So we want them to lose, or do we want them to? No, we want them to lose.
Yeah,
because they want to come in like low morale.
Exactly.
Glasner on the sack.
Exactly.
Can we sack Glasner already?
Yeah, sack. You got to go, blood. It has to go.
It's got to go. That City goal, by the way. Before we get onto the game, I know we're all desperate for the dopamine. Dopamine here when we start talking about breaking down the game. But that City goal, never offside. Mate, Bernardo Silva, he's 5'5" and he was ducking. How the fuck is he in Sarr's way?
That killed me how Grealish was like. Did you see Grealish on the sideline to the fourth official going like that? He was literally going like that to say like he's like 5 foot. Like, how is it? Do you know what though? I got. Well, I didn't get rinsed on TikTok, but like I went too early and was like, because did you watch the game live?
No.
Oh, okay. So when I can't be the only one, please let me know in the comments if everybody else thought this as well. I didn't realize they disallowed the goal. So I obviously, because I was watching on like Sky Go, it was like a minute or so behind. I literally, as soon as the game was done, I came in here, did my match review, started the match review by going, fucking well done to the referee for actually sticking with his decision. Like they tried to send him to the monitor to say you should have a look at this, but he stuck with his decision. I was like, I never realised the lino actually disallowed the goal initially for offside.
Did he?
So you didn't either. I always thought I was going mental. Like, but people were in my comments being like, "You do realize disallowed the goal?" But then again, it's because they've probably. But apparently, they only said it on the coverage after the game. They disallowed it because, and then it's quite stupid. But then when you're doing a video like for like straight after the game, I was using all of the graphics that were like checking disallowed goal, and I didn't even clock. I didn't even clock. They actually disallowed it, and then he overturned the decision, which I never realized.
Well, fair play to him then. Fair play to him.
Yeah, but I thought they tried to make him overturn it to disallow the goal,
and then he stuck to his guns.
Yeah, but apparently a lot of I saw a few comments. I was like, oh fuck, but then I realized that a load of people actually thought the same thing as well.
Yeah, because on Sky Highlights, I thought that happened, and I was thinking, well, that's rare. Like we never ever see a referee go over to the monitor and then keep the same decision. I didn't know that actually happened, but I mean, He was not interfering with play, and also the trajectory of the ball was like way above.
So I had a
It
clear line of it the
right
whole
on top of his
time
head.
as well. Yeah,
Yeah, whole
like,
time.
but again, the Arsenal
So-
fans, just like the Adrabio thing, they're trying to fucking what's the difference with Saliba? And then like there was all load of ones being like that should typical City getting away with it. It's like Ben White does that to every fucking goalkeeper every week.
They were going back to like lockdown with David Luiz and that, because I saw say on Twitter, and it was they used it as an example. It was like, oh, this was given as interference,
4 years
by
ago.
the way, and someone was like, is that David Luiz? Like, are these fucking dickheads bringing up lockdown football?
There was another one for the tossing one as well, the Saliba one as well, where they were playing Villa, I think, away and lost in lockdown, and it was like they didn't give a red card, they gave a yellow card for the exact same thing. It was just like,
oh yeah, no,
it's just like, fuck me. It's not everyone's against you. The worst thing that could have happened was that they panned to Howard Webb. Did you see that?
Did they? No?
Yeah, like, Howard Webb was at the game on Saturday, and literally as it was going on, they just panned to him in the crowd, and he's got like this earpiece in, and he's like texting on his phone, and they'll be like, oh, is he involved in the decision? It's like corruption. It's like, oh, fuck off, man.
No.
Just like grow up, man. It's but it was beautiful.
I don't understand why it would just be everyone against Arsenal as well. Like, it's like them against the world, isn't it?
Yeah, they do it to themselves. They're fucking loaded twats. But yeah, hopefully get beat by Liverpool next weekend, and then we'll finish above them, and we'll fucking beat them when it goes to the North London derby in January.
What would you do if we finished above them? Jack actually said, because
could you imagine?
Jack said the fucking, honestly, the tears that we would be fucking downing at the end of the season if that ever actually, it would be so fucking funny. It would be so funny. I had like a couple of predictions though at the beginning of the season. When you did the like get your questions in for the Spurs unpopular opinions, I could kind of see us having a really slow start and then picking up momentum, which we have. We've had a very like inconsistent start, I think.
Yeah.
But the minerals are there to then gain momentum. But
yeah,
I just looked at Arsenal and I just thought, how many times when we saw it on the Poch, how many times can you look at can you go again before and not get there before falling into like disarray? Before being like dismantled. Do you know what I mean? You need to keep the momentum. You need to keep that, and you need to sort of that needs to be rewarded. Otherwise, people are just going to give up. That's like Arsenal, the equivalent of going to the gym like for the last for 6 months, looking in the mirror, and they've still got like a beer belly.
Yeah, I'm just giving up now.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, the way we like down tools in the gym is what they're doing in this. They're doing this style.
Yeah, I know, and they keep spending more and more money. And they're just not getting there. And I just thought there is a very high possibility that this just sort of like capitulates on top of them.
Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
And already they've dropping points, and who would have thought this? If
4 points off top.
Yeah, mate, it's not looking good. Arteta out.
Unassailable lead, I'd say.
I think so. I know they aren't catching up. But Jack, I said tongue in cheek. I said on Twitter, I posted, we're 4 points behind Arsenal. Why can't we be in the title race? Obviously, I don't think we will be. But Jack said that was going to be my question. But I was like, best not to get ahead of myself. Genuinely though, if City get a points deduction, Arsenal keep their performance levels where they are, and Liverpool start to have teething issues under Slot, then 80 points could win the title. Do you think there could be like the lowest points title win in Premier League era? If that's going to happen, Spurs are winning it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't like it. Oh, second half of the season, we're going on a title charge.
It's part of the master plan.
Premier League and Europa League double.
Mate, and FA Cup.
Yeah. Treble? Spurs win the treble. Imagine.
You know what makes me laugh so much is that going into this game, we were so fucking miserable.
I know.
We just lost to Brighton.
And now we're like, I was really not looking forward to the game at the weekend.
And now, me neither. Me neither. I really actually expected us to lose.
We're going to win the treble. We're going to win the league. Oh, fuck.
Should we just start fucking singing that and see how much we can piss off rival fans? But
yeah,
just being
that's why. Like I was saying in the build-up to this game, and we will talk about the game. But I was like, I have so much respect for West Ham fans for singing what Champions of Europe. I don't think we actually heard that on Saturday. Weirdly, I can't remember if they were singing it or not. But people don't realise how much piss that boils from like other fans. I would if that was Tottenham and we won the Europa League, I would never stop singing that. I'm pretty sure Chelsea did it when they won Europa League, just as a laugh. Like, And if they won the
what we
Conference
love
League
about
this year,
football
they would say the
rivalry,
same
innit?
thing. Exactly, and people get so
Yeah,
pissed off
100%.
about it. So if we won
Yeah,
the
I know.
Europa League this season, dare I say, if we won the treble, then I would. I'd probably just, if Spurs won the treble, I think I'd probably give up my season ticket. It doesn't get better than that. What's the point?
Really?
What's the point in going anymore?
Really?
No,
You're
joking.
just gonna check out.
I'm joking, but you can understand why people would do that.
If Spurs won the treble, I don't know what that would do to me. Like, I think it actually could be bad on my on my personal life. I think I'd just go off. I think I would just go. I'd disappear.
Yeah, I'd become.
People would be like, I haven't seen Will in like 12 years.
Yeah, I think I'd just become such a wanker.
But I would literally
terrible person.
I don't know what I'd do. The thought of it is fucking. I need to put a pillow on my lap.
Yeah,
because it's probably never going to happen in our lifetime, is it?
Yeah.
Going on to the game, yeah. There's been this continuous theme within the fan base and in the general media that Ange hasn't got a plan B. And actually, there was a guy sitting near me who was, when we were 1-0 down, I think we were playing fine. I thought we were playing fine. We just, actually, quickly on the goal, before we start getting into all the positives, that it was annoying me. It was very soft because they had that exact same chance like 2 minutes before.
Yeah, we had a warning, didn't we?
Yeah, but then obviously the changes were made and they didn't have anything. They didn't have any. West Ham fans were celebrating a corner in the first 20 minutes. So that demonstrates how much we had control of the game. But then they just had that one move they did twice and it worked. They had a 50% success rate with that one move, and then I think we clocked on Sarr come on. But what I want to talk about is there's this this idea, this maybe possibly misconception, is what we're going to get into, that Ange hasn't got a plan B, and the guy was sat next to me 1-0 down, and he's shouting, "You got no plan B, Ange! You got no plan B!"
Out him. What's his name? Do we know his name? Fucking John.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't fucking know what I'm saying, but he was shouting that, and I was like, a bit early to do that, mate. Like, we got like 70 minutes left of this game.
I think our fan base at times is as reactionary as like the media is to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, big time.
I think they buy into this idea because it gets shoved down your throat by like people who don't really pay enough attention to us. Like that, I think that's what it is. And the thing is, right? How many times last season? I thought Ange, for the most part, last season definitely was actually very proactive with his subs a lot of the time. We'd make, especially in the second half of the season when things were obviously a little bit more up and down. There were so many times where he would I've said it before, and it kind of links into Kulusevski and playing him in midfield. And there'd be loads of times where Kulusevski would start on the right and he'd tuck into midfield for the second half, and Johnson would come on at half time and the game would change. Yeah. He'd bring Højbjerg on and things would settle down a little bit more, stuff like this. So I've never really bought into that, to be honest. I've said it so many times. I think people get too tied up in Ange's philosophy and his tactics. Because the philosophy is to be consistently aggressive and play on the front foot, and that this leads to this perception that we are too open and naive, etc. When the eye test and the stats don't really back that up. Obviously, we give soft goals away at times, but and again, the same with the set piece narrative. We've conceded the third least amount of XG from set pieces this season out of any team. But in terms of the plan B stuff, it's I do think people are too blinded by this narrative that it's just because Ange is so it's what my way and we're going to do it this way. That doesn't mean that there are different adaptations within that. He'd be ridiculous if he didn't change. I think the way people act is that he never makes any substitutions, never changes any players when they're playing badly. That's how people see it, I think. Yeah. When in reality, how I could probably give you 5 examples at least in the last year of where he's brought someone on at half time or changed something. And again, we're playing a totally different system to what we were playing last year. Well, not totally different, but again, different to what we were playing last year. Something that we saw teased last year with Kulusevski moving inside, like I just said. Yeah, it's bollocks, mate. It's just that people just they don't really know how to articulate what they want to say, so just throw out these nonsense cliches of fucking don't change it. Got no plan B, mate. It's fucking bollocks. Yeah. What I should read.
Yeah, you can see there's teething issues still because we're in the second year. Mate, that's that awful fucking page to promote that book.
I've not read it. Still not read it, mate.
It's a sick book, mate. I can't wait to read it.
Again, mate.
I'll probably actually will get that book. I'm on a Ange high right now. I feel like there's gonna be teething issues this season because it's second season, but you can see the evolution of what we're doing, and it is constantly changing and adapting. But what I think I've come to the conclusion that this all plan B sort of. Everyone thinks, oh, you need to have like a different tactic. That's not true. Ange's plan B is the personnel in his squad.
Exactly,
and he makes the use of the personnel in his squad. And Sarr was the perfect. He epitomised that because
100%, mate.
Because I mean, there's an obsession, and there always has been with Ange, of getting an amalgamation of different types of football players in his team, in his squad. Remember in the transfer window, he's constantly trying to buy players like Conor Gallagher or players that can play multifaceted players.
Yeah.
And Sarr, this could be a cheat code. It could be a cheat code in seeing out games, bringing him on for Maddison, and it'd be a cheat code in how. I mean, it completely swiveled the game. At half time, we come out. We look so much more solid when we're defending in transition, and and we scored about 3 goals in 8 minutes. It completely changed the game, and that's Ange's plan B. It's not necessarily we want to keep playing the same way. It's just personnel. Who adds what? Sarr adds legs in midfield, and that's what Postecoglou was saying when he brought on Sarr. Yeah. And West Ham couldn't cope. Do you think? How much did he influence the game? Do you think if Maddison stayed on, then we could have seen a completely different end result? Because Maddison actually created more chances in 45 minutes than everyone else in the Premier League this weekend.
Yeah.
Which is fucking ridiculous. And I think we were playing well. I did think, but we just did look a little bit vulnerable in the transition.
Yeah.
Sarr comes in and we shored it up. How much did you think he influenced the scoreline?
Oh, yeah, massively. But like you said, I don't think... you know how in American sports, it's really common for teams to have starters and finishers. They have designated roles of this is who's going to start the game, but this is who's going to finish the game. And obviously in football, you have that as well. That's what substitutions are for. But I do feel like someone like Pape Sarr is the kind of epitome of a finisher, someone to come on, that energy, that running power. Ange said it after the game. He was his out of possession work and his running power. West Ham got powerful players who are going to hurt you kind of in transition. And I don't even think we were getting done in transition that much, but when they did try to break out, it's just someone in there who was just going to break that up and then be able to turn it over so quickly. What I loved about Sarr wasn't just his ability to win the ball back and win those duels. It was his ability to be progressive with it, either with his ball carrying ability, which is so good, or his passing. That pass to split. I know they were so open, West Ham, but that pass to Sonny for the goal. But I do feel like there was a lot of unfair narrative around James Maddison. And naturally, the problem is that, say if it was Kulusevski that got substituted, and we know how important Dejan Kulusevski is to us. He's been our best player this season. But the media, now people are waking up to it outside. Do you know what I mean? People are really waking up to it now after that game, because it was a game on TV where he scored a goal and got man of the match. And it was oh, fuck me, he's playing really well, isn't he? If that was Kulusevski that got substituted, the media wouldn't make anywhere near as much of a deal about it, because it's Maddison, because he's a fiery character that, you wouldn't want to see it. He wouldn't want to sit on the bench. You want him to come off. It's a tactical change. It's a manager making a tactical change to give us a little bit more out of possession. His running power in there to break things up and let us play on the counter-attack. I've said it for a while now. One of the biggest improvements for me in James Maddison's game this season has been his out of possession work, which has had to improve because we are playing a more attacking, or on paper, a more attacking system with Kulu and Maddison as those two number 8s or number 10s. How many times have we seen it? The Brentford home game where Maddison was excellent, United away where Maddison was really good as well. How many times was he in there nipping and winning the ball back and setting us off and being able to play quickly, doing the kind of things that Sarr does? But naturally, Sarr is more physical, he's more athletic. I don't know if the thing is, of course, it changed the game massively, and I think Sarr was excellent when he came on. I still think we probably win that game with Maddison on the pitch. Maybe we just win it in a slightly different way. Maybe.
Yeah.
But like you said, Maddison wasn't playing badly. Look, I was getting a little bit frustrated with Maddison in the first half, because I think where things weren't quite going his way, we were sort of seeing him revert to type a little bit, throwing arms up in the air and getting wound up and frustrated. But when he was on the ball, some of the combination play with Kulu, we saw that classic little move where him dropping deeper, Kulu little flick round the box, back heel flick into the penalty area. They were combining really nicely. There obviously was a threat there in the first half from Spurs, because we were able to have 12 or 13 corners, I think. So we were pinning them back. We were getting round the back of them, and they were just. I think, obviously, the criticism for our goal is our poor commitment to those one-on-one defending situations. But in terms of Doggy getting too easily done by Bowen, in my opinion. Obviously, he got wrong side, and then if he touches him, it's a foul, it's a penalty. I think he was too scared about making a challenge, so he just kind of lets him go. And then obviously there's spare men in the box, and like you said, we got a warning. And I think that's what West Ham did better than us in the first half. Bear in mind they were under more pressure, and we did have them under the pump. Was just better commitment to box defending. I think it was because Kilman and Wan-Bissaka, who's a great one-on-one defender. They were putting their bodies on the line and getting things away, but we weren't playing badly. It's just that's going to happen when a team sit in deep and try and frustrate you. So yeah, I do think because it's Maddison, there's going to be this lazy narrative about the fact that it was it's like I already saw an article in The Athletic today, or because I've just made a video about it just before we came on TikTok about we just need to get out. It's not one or the other. You have different players for different roles, and like you said exactly at the start about Ange's plan B. I think that's more evident in terms of personnel rather than changing the tactics. And that's absolutely fine because naturally in a game, different level of personnel allows you to be even more pragmatic or more attacking within the game. So, but yeah, I do think the article in The Athletic was like, is this going to be a shift in Tottenham season now? Is this kind of the way they go? It's like, we were saying that 4 games ago when we started playing Kulusevski and Maddison together. So just because people are just almost mind blown that Ange is done something different. It's like, is this the way they're going to go now? It's not like Maddison will start in that next game against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
and if they feel like we're getting a little bit overrun in midfield with Decore or Wharton, then Pape Sarr will come on. So it's like we need to get out of there. Pape Sarr is a young player who's shown such valuable asset. He's just been great for Spurs since he's played. Obviously, hasn't been quite maybe the level I think that we saw last season at points, but he's not getting as much game time, therefore not consistent performances, and obviously that's expected with a young player. But he's great. He's like you said, he's a cheat code to come off the bench. His running power is insane. So it worked, and we just should celebrate that rather than making a conversation about okay, what do we do now?
No. That's the thing. I mean, when Man City sub off Bernardo Silva or De Bruyne, etc., and bring on someone like Nunez, or Kovacic, or for extra legs, etc., everyone's not going to be like, fucking, what the fuck is Pep? Is De Bruyne not going to play the next game? Is this now the system that's going to work? No, that's you're utilising the players at your disposal. And Sarr is an absolute cheat code as a squad player because he adds so much. He adds such a difference when it comes to defending transition, energy in the midfield, and it will be a cheat code, especially over the course of the season when players start to get tired and Sarr is just the level above everyone else when it comes to fitness and covering ground. And I'm not expecting Sarr to come in for like next week, but it's so exciting that we now have this squad depth and these variation of different players that we can use for different games, and it could be so vital for us going forward. And when it comes to getting those extra yards in our progression as a team, as a club, having players like Sarr, I do think Sarr is so undervalued, and he's 100%. Quietly having a sensational season. Not because he's not starting games, but his goal contributions, his output is improving every single year, and that's the thing. My worry about Sarr was that. Now we're seeing this new system, etc. Is that going to stunt his sort of his progression as a player? Because he's got such a high potential. You need to let him grow into that potential. But this is a really healthy way of him still growing in that potential without being in the spotlight. Do you know what I mean? He isn't in the spotlight. Exactly. I think he's an easily forgotten player in our team.
Yeah,
he's so important.
The amount of rival fans that I speak to doing this, so many people have been Arsenal fans say it all the time about Sarr, he's your best midfielder. Like everyone, like outside of Spurs, it's like a lot of people. And we don't get me wrong, no one loves him more than us, obviously. But I think it's easy to overlook him and underappreciate him. Whereas I think a lot of people look at him and go, "Fuck me, he's good, isn't he?" But do you know what? The fact that he's not starting games, he started both games in the Europa League, scored 2 goals in 2 games in that.
Yeah,
and also he's going to be massive for the Europa League because, like you said, with his athletic ability and his running power. If he's not starting in the Premier League but starting in those European games, Spurs are going to. If Spurs go all the way in Europe and go deep in the other cup competition, Spurs could be playing 60, 60, 65 games this year. And to have a fresh Pape Sarr to go in and run those Europa League games in that midfield with Basuma or Bentancur, who's either one of those two and who are not going to start in the league. Obviously, we saw Basuma on Saturday. I thought Basuma was really good as well. I think he's having a quietly very decent season as well.
Yeah, he is massively.
Which I think is easy.
Goal output's a lot better as well. So
yeah,
2
exactly.
goals in 10 games.
Exactly. And yeah, if you're able to have like a fresh Pape Sarr with the athleticism and running power that he's got, playing 1 game a week and then coming off for half an hour in the Premier League, that's massive for your ability to go deep in Europe, because he's such a, he's massive for us, and easily forgotten. But again, he's easily forgotten. But when you see him have the impact that he does, it's just like, this is how good this kid is. He's sensational.
Yeah. I feel like our squad rotation has been really healthy and well managed, because obviously we're playing in a lot more competition. But what you're seeing with Sarr is a confident player who isn't starting games,
who's maturing as well.
Who's maturing, and then you can see him flourish whenever he does play, because he is sharp. He's got that match fitness from being integrated into certain games, being utilised in certain games where we do need his legs and his aggression in midfield and his athleticism, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So. But it doesn't seem like he's played that much, but he's fully fit, sharp, confident, and when he steps in, there's no drop off, and that is what squad rotation is all about, and that is why Europa League is such a great competition for us at this stage in our progression and in our project under Ange Postecoglou, because there's nothing overwhelming, there's not a strain on the players that we've got. And we're using every single player at our disposal, and players are going to get more and more confident as we grow into the season, and their legs are going to be safe. That leads me on to Son, because I've got a question about Son. Actually, before I talk about Son, because Son was outstanding along with Kulusevski, I thought.
Yeah.
But before we talk about them, I really want to talk about Solanke and Brennan Johnson.
Yeah.
Because what do you make of them this weekend? Because I feel like they epitomise Ange, in like how Ange has engineered a system that means every piece holds the same value in this system. Every player holds the same amount of importance as we went in our attacks and in our defending in transition. Because Solanke and Johnson, they were causing so many problems without getting any goal contributions. But they're hassling, they're running and freeing up space and progressing the ball, and West Ham couldn't cope. And they actually, for example, Kulusevski for the own goal, when Kulusevski gets the ball, they're bombing forward. West Ham are splitting open because they're thinking, an unformed Brennan Johnson, you do not want to let him get a shot away at the moment. Marking him. Solanke on form, running forward, power, pace. Kulusevski, no one can tackle him. And then Son just creeps around him, makes a cute little overlap. West Ham's defense are all over the place, frantic, and Todibo, he wants to play for us so bad, he fucking put it in his own net. I know it came off. I know Areola. It was Areola's
his first goal for Spurs, wasn't it?
Yeah. By the way, he's shit. Dragson's better.
Yeah, great.
But I just thought it was just perfect. It epitomised how important everyone is in this system. There's no player that goes unnoticed. Even if Solanke and Johnson didn't score or got an assist, they were pivotal in this win. What did you make of them?
I'll speak about Johnson first, because I've got a lot to say about Solanke. Again, I think there was some, from where I was sat, there was an element of frustration towards Johnson creeping in at some points, because maybe he wasn't able to take on his man at certain points or whatever, some of the stuff that he's been criticised for in the past. But he again found himself isolated in a few 1v1 situations where the keepers made saves. If he scored that goal in the first half, what a finish that would have been, by the way. The one that fell to him on the volley or half volley.
Oh my God, it was like 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is so key to us because of his ability to just be in the right positions when Spurs turn the ball over. And like you've nailed it there when talking about that third goal, because they're so worried about Solanke. They're so worried about Johnson with the form that he's on at the moment. And like you said, they don't really want to get close to Kulusevski. They've just left the space for the best finisher in the team and one of the best finishers in the league. So Spurs have got, Spurs have got an attack now where it's like, and this kind of leads me on to Solanke, but yeah, Johnson, I think, like you said, he didn't stop working. He was posing a threat. Yes, he couldn't beat his man at times, but when we were able to facilitate those counter-attacking scenarios, he was there. And another day he gets a goal. And then if he scores, then some of that other criticism goes away. That's exactly what's happened in the last few games, because even if he has failed to take on his man at some points, which has been one of the criticisms of him maybe not being brave enough, he's got a goal in the game and then all of it goes away. And I think he's just a player that is going to be a real output machine for us because of his just ability to know when Spurs win it back, I'm on my bike and I know I've got the confidence to finish. Obviously, he didn't do that on Saturday, but he had chances. Solanke was a massive part of that. I thought Solanke, for me, I thought the whole team was good. The whole team was good. Kulusevski, and we'll talk about him, was outstanding. Sonny, I thought, was so sharp and obviously has benefited, I think, from that bit of obviously the injury and then the rest. When was the last time he didn't go away with South Korea?
We'll get onto that,
But I thought Solanke was incredible in that second half, especially.
Yeah, he was.
And people are going to look at it and go, well, Spurs have spent £65 million. Your striker should score your goals. Those goals will come from those poaching situations that he has scored 3 goals in so far. Rebounds against Brentford and Karabag, and then getting in the right position for that corner. And easily for that move where he set Johnson away and Johnson had the shot saved, he was an inch away from tapping in that rebound as well. And then he would have got a goal. And then people don't talk about him. Yeah, but it's like how Ange was trying to defend him in the first few weeks in those press conferences, being like, mate, like, come on, if he's not scored a goal by December, then I'm going to be worried. What he gives to this team, I said it a few weeks ago against Karabag, that's Kane. That's our Kane replacement. I think you saw that so much on Saturday. Look, he's not sitting deep and being that quarterback and pinging balls, but the way that he's able to win duels on the halfway line, pop it off so quickly, exactly like he did for the first goal. He's so smooth in everything he does. The one where he nearly tapped in that rebound from Johnson's shot that got saved, that strength to fight off. Todibo had a nightmare against Solanke in that second half when the game opened.
Hated it, didn't he?
And that's what Solanke gives you that Richie doesn't. Like, I love Richie, and to see him back is great. And like you were saying earlier when you're talking about the squad rotation, to have him back to probably, hopefully, start on Thursday to give Solanke a rest for Crystal Palace is huge. But there were so many times where Spurs would clear the ball, and then Solanke, the ball would bounce, and Solanke would just be like, I love this. And Todibo would get tight to him, and he'd just back into him and then roll him. His ability, his close control in those situations as well. There was one of them where he actually lost it off Todibo, but then wrestled him off of it, sort of backheeled it away from him, and then was in, and then played in Johnson.
Yeah.
And that was the one.
Yeah.
He was a monster in that second half, and he facilitates our ability to be so dangerous on transition. And look, he will pick up scraps. He's not going to score like goals where he's finding cute finishes necessarily from outside the box. He might do in certain situations where the game opens up and he's able to get shot away. He's going to score a lot of those goals from being on the end of his own moves, like Kane was sometimes, being that poacher. Ball goes out wide to Sonny. He either cuts it back and Solanke taps it in, or there's a shot saved and he gets there because his movement is so good. I think his box presence needs to improve. I think he's not the sharpest finisher in the world. He's not. And I think that's something we said from the start. But you don't need to be when you're facilitating Spurs' ability to be that dangerous, where we've created the most amount of XG and scored the most amount of goals joint with City in the Premier League this season. He's still got 3, by the way. Like, he's still got 3. And, you know, I thought he was incredible on Saturday. Like, I've been a massive fan of his from the start. His work off the ball, you know, even in the first half when they're sitting that little bit deeper, he recognises when to come out and draw players out with him and just play those little 1-2 combinations to hopefully move them about. He's tenacious. He's relentless. The goals will come, and they will come in a big way across all competitions. But I don't really care, because if Solanke scores 15 goals this season, but his role in that team has facilitated Brennan Johnson's numbers going through the roof, Son's numbers going through the roof, Kulusevski's numbers going through the roof. He's well worth that £65 million and more, because he is making us one of the most dangerous attacks in the Premier League, especially in transition on counter attacks. He's incredible, Solanke. Like, I just, like I said, that's the second half. He was all over Todibo, absolutely all over him, and he couldn't handle it. And there was a few, like, someone dropped a comp. I can't remember who it was. It might have been that THFC Micah. I think I quoted it and said about his Kane-esque ability is to allow us to be really dangerous on transition. There were things that I forgot about in the game, and I watched it back thinking, like, if this wasn't Dominic Solanke, if this was Harry Kane and he hadn't scored in that game, people would be going nuts about all-round number 9 performance. Do you remember when Kane had that performance against Newcastle under Conte where we battered them 5-1 at home and he didn't score, but everybody was going crazy about him? That was as good from Solanke, in my opinion. I know Kane was like spraying the balls and doing things that are more aesthetic, maybe. And that's what Solanke doesn't have. But his passing range is good, to be fair. But his just ability to nip in, win the duel, and then we like the first goal, nips in, wins that duel. Maddison, we're gone and we score. Like he's so key to our system. His physicality, his agility, his crispness and smoothness in every action. Like he's
so silky.
I love him. Fuck it. He's such an intelligent footballer, man. He's just great. Like no words, no more words. But yeah, Johnson as well, really important to us.
I do feel like we got the better out of Johnson. Maybe specifically, Johnson it's hard for Johnson against a really low block, and West Ham are really camped in that first half, really camped in their box until we got that equaliser on a transition because Solanke wins it back and we then go. Second half, bringing Sarr on, I think in a positive way, and you talk about you can have control over the game when you have a little bit less possession. You can still have control over the game. We made it into a little bit more a transitional game with Sarr on the pitch, and we sort of lured them into a false sense of security, and then Sarr would pop the ball back and then we go, or someone would win the ball, Romero win the ball back, and we're off, and they're trailing back, and that's when you see the best out of Johnson getting those transitional sort of scenarios. And Solanke absolutely thrives, and he thrives both in when he's keeping defenders occupied in the box with his physicality and his height, and in those transition. He is a complete forward. Forward. His finishing is probably in a way is one area where he can still develop. He can still get better. But again, we don't need a finisher. Look
at his goals at Bournemouth last season.
Put the ball in the back of the net.
Exactly. Look at his goals at Bournemouth last season. They were all kind of like picking up scraps. Like he scored a couple of goals from outside the box. One was like again, talking about Harry Kane. I remember he scored one against Man United where he drills it low and hard across the goalkeeper. A lot of the time he was getting on the end of low crosses like Spurs, again, talking about our transitional game with Johnson and Sonny. He will be there in those situations. But a lot of them were where he finds a little bit of space in the box or he gets on the end of a rebound or something. It's like, he's a poacher. And maybe, look, sometimes he's not in the positions to poach. But when you look back at that goal, the first goal, Kulusevski's goal, before Maddison plays that pass out to Kulusevski, you've got Johnson there, obviously, of course, and Son is in acres of space. Wan-Bissaka's kind of left him. You've got Son. Son is the best finisher we have. So as long as Solanke's presence is allowing, like you said, drawing defenders to him in other situations and leaving more room for Son, who doesn't have to do as much 1v1 stuff, doesn't have to be up and down as much with his age. One thing that will never go away with Sonny is his finishing, which is exactly what we saw for the fourth goal, and his ability to beat a man 1v1. And when he is kept that little bit more fresh, he can still be the Sonny that we know. So as long and Johnson, when he goes for a one-on-one, he's been finishing them as of late. So as long as you're facilitating your ability to get those pacey wide forwards who can finish in positions to score, his job is also kind of done. It doesn't really matter if he's not the one on the end of the chance. And naturally, like I said, if he just what would have been the fifth goal, which Areola gets down and saves, it just doesn't fall for Solanke. Yeah. It just doesn't fall for him. And if it falls for him and he taps it in the net, then everyone's going, what a complete all-round performance that was. And he's got a goal on the ice to put the ice on the cake. Whereas because he didn't score, you have to look a little bit harder. But he was amazing, man. It was just, I'm in love with the guy because he's just like, he's so humble, like, and I think that comes across on the pitch as well. Works so hard, and all the stuff that we spoke about before. I'm really pleased that we got that one right. He's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah, because how rare is it for us to actually splash big money on a player in the first place, and it actually fucking work out as well. Yeah. I think this is probably the first time we have, like big money on a player that's worked out.
Yeah,
I know Richarlison's still debatable, but I mean, this is a player who's
it's not whatever Richarlison does. It's not going to be worth
the longevity.
Yeah, whatever. No disrespect to Richie, but it's not going to be. Whereas Solanke, it's like you can see
this getting even better as well. Yeah. I want to apologise to Sonia because what I was saying on the last podcast, I was going a bit harsh on Son. In my head, I didn't mention this last time. In my head, I was thinking we either need to bring in a player that is the same sort of level as him, and then who has the longevity to then get better and still develop. I was thinking, would you sell? Say you got 100 mil bid from Saudi to sell Son, would you do it? And that could be good for the squad. Anyway, fuck that off. Don't listen to me last week. Yeah, he was so good. But my think is, first of all, we need to give him a long lifetime contract.
Yeah.
I've gone a whole 180 on this. 360. 180.
I always get that mixed up as well. I do it all the time. I've done like a whole 360 on this guy.
He's. I do think, and this is a question for you, mate, because he was looking so rested and so sharp on the weekend, and I think where he has off games is due to like him being way overused and like fatigued, because he's so overly relied upon, and like where do you stand on him going forward? Because. And how far do you agree with that? Because I feel like you'll get a more impactful Son when he's not as relied upon every single game.
Yeah,
because
sure.
he come back in. There's almost like everyone was buzzing to have him back, but there's almost an element of people forgetting what he can do, and he was excellent. And that is exactly what we want from Son. Direct. Within the first 10 minutes, he had that where he did a little a sidestep, took two players out of the game, and it opened it up for him to curl it, and it was just wide. And all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my God, because normally we are a bit reluctant to shoot within the first 10 minutes of the game. I think we try and ease our way into the game. That was direct. Okay, I'm on it today. He could have had a hat-trick. He could have had a hat-trick. He was so involved with the own goal, obviously. Hit the post straight after. That could have been 5 in 10 minutes. Hit the post like that was. I was right behind that. I thought that was
a proper dopamine. Like, you know, like when you score goals like in quick succession, it's like we literally still celebrating that one. And again, that comes from Sarr, though, didn't it? Like, obviously, he did really well for Son's goal where he just nips in and gets the ball and then plays that lovely pass. When I did my analysis video yesterday, you can see when West Ham try and play out from the back, they take the goal kick, play it back. Tadebo's got the ball. You can see even before Tadebo's played it, Sarr is making that move on to Soler, lets him have a touch, nips it. Solanke tries to play the ball through to Johnson, comes to Son, hits the post, and we're away. Sonny was so sharp, really, really sharp. And again, it comes from all the things that we've said, or you just said there about having the proper rest. Obviously, he got that injury in the game against Karabag where you don't really want him to be playing in that game, you know? And obviously we didn't really have the other options at that time because, I mean, I don't really want to talk about Timo Werner on this podcast because, my God, that could have been one of the worst. That was the worst cameo I think I've ever seen from anybody.
It was atrocious. It almost ruined the afternoon. Genuinely, him.
Shit, though, wasn't it? It was just like, there was one where someone played the ball to him and he just let it go off.
I know, he went off the pitch. I know. Generally, it's like he fucking down 12 pints and spun around 3 times, and then Ange went, right, you're on, Timo, let's go.
Let's go, mate.
Redemption, come on, Timo.
But now with Odebear back, hopefully as well in those Europa League games, whether he'll start on Thursday, probably not ready to start on Thursday, but they have been talking about him being back this week. But yeah, you ideally don't really want to be playing him in those games. And obviously that's where he picks up the injury. But that just shows you when he does look shot, when he's had a bit of a rest, which is going to be key for him at his age now, and his role is changing as well. I thought his obviously Udogie was poor for the goal, but I thought Udogie really grew into the game and really responded after that. And I thought their relationship was some of the best I've seen it in that game. I thought because I thought that there were obviously we've spoken a lot about the fact that the fullbacks are staying wider and maybe less involved. That's definitely the case with Porro. But I still think Udogie is drifting into central areas and Sonny is staying wide. But where last season, I think that was more of a thing where Udogie would just be narrow in the build-up and Sonny would, Sonny wasn't really playing as a striker, Werner or whoever was out wide. There's a lot more mixing up going on down that side now as well. And you saw that kind of for the second goal where Son holds the width and plays that lovely ball with the outside of his foot and Udogie does so well because I think a load of fullbacks would just smash that cross in low to try and get it to come off one of the defenders. But he has the ability to just turn Wan-Bissaka and lay it off. I thought they dovetailed really nicely with each other and Udogie would sometimes overlap him. And that chance that you just said where Sonny drops the shoulder, but then drops it back so quickly. Again, we talk about Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka is one of the best one-on-one defenders in the league, fullback-wise. Sonny just makes him go dizzy.
He got sent.
But that move starts from Sonny drifting into a central area, Udogie going on the overlap, Spurs working the ball back quickly and working the ball into a position where Sonny is isolated on the corner of the box with no one around him where he is able to take that shot. With Sonny's legs and everything, like we said about managing his fitness, if you can get him in those situations where his finishing is still, like we saw for the goal, obviously, and getting into positions where he just has to finish, he's still going to be devastating for Spurs. And he's still, when he's rested, he's still got that sharpness to be able to do those kind of things, do 3 step overs to get. I don't think I've ever seen him do that to get away from Tadebo. No. It was like Ronaldinho on FIFA Street to do that, you know.
That reminded me of, do you remember Dortmund in like 2017, 2018? It was somewhere there, and he was up against Wembley, and he did the similar thing in a similar position, and it was like, oh my god, I'm back to being at that game. I was at that game as well. It was like a throwback song. Like it's so rare to see him. And Todibo, he looked like a mug.
He was shit,
he was mate. He was crap.
Yeah,
everyone was so desperate for him in January. Fuck, he's not that. I mean,
you're not that
he
guy.
Could have an off day, but you're not that guy.
He's good on the ball. I think for West Ham, where they're trying to build out from the back more now, be more possession based under Lopetegui. I think Kilman and Todibo give them more on the ball, definitely, than what they've had in the past.
And
obviously, they were quite brave in possession because of that, but defensively, they were just all over the place. But no, like I said, with that chance where he wrapped it round the post, if you can get yourselves into positions in build-up against low blocks where, you're allowing him to have isolated space where he's able to do that, that's going to be such a dangerous weapon for Spurs, because I thought that was in. I was off my seat. From where I sit, I thought that was in. And it was so close. But, deservedly got the goal and, own goal as well. But again, it comes back to, like you were saying earlier, with that third goal, like our attack carries so much threat now that they're just like, how is it that Son Heung-min is allowed that much space to come in and just walks into the box? But it's great from Kulusevski as well. But there's
so many elements.
Super sharp. But I don't want to see him start on Thursday. Just relax him on Thursday.
No. You got Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore can play with Richarlison now, and he can play with a more. I feel like he can play with a more established.
I wouldn't mind seeing Richie out left again. Like to get him back in minutes as well. Like obviously he's played there last season, didn't he? When Sonny was through the middle in like the first 10 games or so when he moved Sonny inside. I thought he was all right out there. Maybe
Liverpool.
Not.
Liverpool was
okay.
I mean, he was good. He was good against Liverpool. But maybe I think I'd rather just see him up front with Mark on the left, and I don't know who on the right. Maybe Johnson or so, I don't. Fuck Werner. I don't fucking see Werner play again. Anyway, I don't want to go too negative, but I feel like with Son, like where are you going to go with Son now? Like how are you going to manage him? Because I think he really needs to be rested to going forward to get the best out of him. He needs to be sharp in every game. You can't overuse him, especially now he's like 32. But in a way, I know I was talking about it where you've got this project in place where you've got Odegaard, Moore, Yang, 3 players that are going to come in and eventually replace Son. But in 5 years, they're going to reach their potential. Probably 5 years, not their potential, but actually to a real a great point in their career.
Yeah,
but. Actually, in a way, if we can utilise Odegaard a little bit, how we utilise Sarr at the moment, he's getting that match fitness, like how we're using Sarr. Sarr doesn't have to start every game, yet he's still progressing in his to reaching his potential. He's still progressing and getting better as a player. The development is still there, and he's match fit. He's sharp, and you see him when you need him. Say we need that 1v1 specialist. Odegaard comes in, and all of a sudden the elements for attack change. That is a really good way of integrating players like Mikey Moore, Odegaard into the team while Son is there, and also it makes Son less heavily relied upon. I think that is a healthy sort of transition into Son, but I think we're in the same stage where when people started doubting Solanke just because he was injured, because he was out of sight, out of mind. People weren't seeing the potential of him in this system, and Odegaard obviously got injured against Coventry. I feel like there's the same problem. People are forgetting about him, and then obviously you've got Yang coming in January. I don't think he's going to be ready. I think he'll probably have to go out on loan. But maybe Son left isn't such a bad idea. But I just think he needs to manage his game. We need to manage his game time correctly now going forward, and more pragmatically. We can't keep playing him every single game because he's Son.
Yeah. Do you know what as well, though? I was thinking about this yesterday when I was watching the Liverpool game. Salah is older than... Salah is the same age as Son. And there aren't really these conversations around Salah. Obviously, Salah is a different type of player who doesn't really have to rely on...
He's gone in the summer, though, isn't he?
He will be. But again, so you look at I'm more talking about the fact that the level that he is performing at for someone that's 32. Of course, Sonny, naturally, those players are going to be more susceptible to injuries where they have explosive bursts and they play on the counter-attack, of course. But... this isn't like I don't think Liverpool fans are having this. The difference is with Salah is that he's so strong, and both of them have looked after themselves so well, which is why, I'm not worried about Sonny necessarily. We do need to manage him 100% better, And Liverpool arguably do with Salah as well, but again, it's not really a long. Like you said, he could be off next summer. So, but the players that are, these players can still be. Salah's arguably still one of the best players in the Premier League, and so is Sonny.
That's true.
That's true. But Sonny was great. Just to play on with a smile on his face.
It was a reminder of how good he is.
Super sharp. Yeah, his passing and stuff as well like that. Such a lovely ball for a doggy for the goal. The Bassum's goal.
Yeah, it was pretty cute, wasn't it? Yeah. A little outside of the boot. Cute. One word to describe Kulusevski then, mate. One word to describe Kulusevski.
God.
Because there's so many things you can fucking say about it.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Fit.
Fuckable.
Yeah. I'm paying homage. I'm paying homage today.
Oh yeah, mate, that's fucking sick. You got his Swedish shirt.
Yeah.
That's quality.
Yeah, baby.
We got a question. We got a question from SZY Films for the pod. He said, how much would you say Kulusevski is worth on the market right now?
Do you remember last year? I remember we beat Forest. Remember where he scored the goal in the mask and did the baby celebration, and he was great in that game. I remember Gary Neville doing an interview. They did an interview with Kulusevski on the pitch after the game, and I think Gary Neville said something after the interview talking about like this guy could be worth like £100 million player, and people started laughed it off. Well, you ain't laughing now, are you, John? Like it's just like
you all laughed,
mate. You all laughed at me. Kulusevski, he's a unicorn. He's literally the definition of a footballing unicorn. He's so unique. Has such a wide variety of skills. Is able to make the most of his, lack of pace for a player that can play out wide or be a sort of attacking midfielder. It's just like I'm genuinely like I'm getting almost. Well, I'm not getting bored. I'm getting bored of trying to shove it down people's. Well, we all are as Spurs fans. We can all see it, but everyone's starting to wake up now. He's been unbelievable this season. Like best midfielder in the Premier League levels. Him and probably Gravenberch, and there's been a lot of other good midfielders when you look at like Caicedo and players like that who've been great. But in terms of like Palmer, like attacking midfielders, I don't think there's been anyone better than him. Maybe obviously Palmer's numbers are great, but Kulusevski, I don't know what to say anymore. When I did that video yesterday, I was talking about I think I've just exhausted all my words about Kulusevski because it's just like if you don't know by now, like it's got to that. I genuinely think he's got to that level where for ages, obviously, we were kind of having to like not force him into these conversations, but be like, no, trust me, like this guy when he plays in that position, he's really good and he's been great for us. But because he's done it in a big game in a London derby that's on TV and people have watched it and gone, fuck me, wow, like he's good, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? We don't. Yeah. I'm bored of trying to force him into these debates about like players like Palmer or Saka and players like that because he's there. He's there on merit. He's just like there aren't many more informed players in Europe right now. And look, again, the numbers tell you that. I think we're going to do an episode of the Lab later because me and Flav did an episode in I think it was April talking about Kulusevski and talking about like the Kulusevski conundrum. Like, what do we do?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, people were fed up with him. People were getting really fed up with him, and he's just now come alive.
And we said it. I said it. I was like, sign a proper number 6 and move him into midfield. That's what I said at the time. Because I was like talking about how we could sort of play the same way that City do with those 2 number 10s. What did he know?
Oh mate,
what did he know? It was like 4-1-4-1. But yeah, no, he. So I think we're going to revisit that because there are some insane numbers like that graph that's like progressive passes and progressive carries out of Premier League midfielders, and he's just like how Romero after every game is top like those charts where it's like ball progression by every player on the pitch. It's like passing and dribbling, and he's just there in the top corner. Like that's Kulusevski. Yeah. He just blows everyone out of the park. And do you know what? Mark from the Fighting Cock made a really good point actually. And we've spoke for so long about Kulusevski's mentality. Like we've banged on about that for a while, and I think everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But Mark tweeted saying it was the quote of Hugo Films' 24-25 Kulusevski season so far comp, which is tonight's wank sorted. He said Kulu is establishing himself as a key player for us again. What I like most is his development as a person. Though. Becoming a father, a big factor here, apparently. And then he said Tetrunk compared him to Dembele. I even think he could be more iconic for us, future captain. I agree with all of that. Mate, like he's always been very mature,
young as well.
Yeah,
so young.
Since he first came here, he's always been very mature. Like I think in terms of obviously he came when he was what? How old is Kulu now? 24. He was 20, so he would have been like 21 when he came to Spurs. 21, 22.
Is he? Let me check.
Yeah, and when he's been at like a big club in Juventus, and played with like Ronaldo and players like that, he's 24, be 25 in April. He
Okay.
the leadership, not like Ange said this the other day when he was asked about like, do Spurs have enough leaders or do Spurs lack like experience? Like obviously you're a young team, and he was like, any player of any age can show leadership on the pitch, whether that's Brennan Johnson, whether that's Van der Ven, who were like 22. Yeah. And he was like, well, you're looking at Kulusevski now, and you're just thinking like the amount of times when the chips are down and he puts us on his back. First half, obviously, we weren't playing badly. No one was playing poorly necessarily, but we weren't clicking as much as we have. He puts the team on his back, scores a brilliant individual goal, which is obviously part of a good move. But he's the one that's dragging us, all the time. He's the one that's like winning the duels, setting us back. And it's just like, you listen to the interview that he did after the game with TNT. He was like, well, once I equalised, I knew we were going to win the game. We're playing good, but we have to be better, and all these kind of things. And it's like, he's just a freak, like an absolute freak. He's such a lovable guy as well. And like I said, so humble. I said it on the Ripple Effect. I was like, right now, he starts for Manchester City. We did 2 truths and a lie, and that weren't the lie. I'm telling you that now.
I think he does 100%. He fits their system. That's what's scary about how good he's becoming. You're thinking like,
I don't like it.
Yeah, I know. Can they get relegated already, please? Because,
especially what Guardiola said about him in the past.
Yeah, what a player. Yeah.
It's responsibility, isn't it? He's taken on so much responsibility in this new role, on and off the ball. I'm genuinely like, I don't really have anything else to say.
It's the fact we negotiated a fucking lower price from going for like 28 million quid.
I know. Do you remember there were some people that wanted to sell him in the summer?
Just because he didn't, you know what? He satisfies the needs. Slow. Yeah, but he's not the sort of winger that. Well, he's not. Don't fucking play him on the wing then. Move him inside. He's fucking unreal. But he satisfies all the needs of the data virgins, and the gammon. Just looking at goals and assist stats. Yeah, his goal numbers are they're not up in.
Yeah, and they're not Palmer, they're not Odegaard necessarily. They're not like I mean,
Odegaard's so good.
But yeah, exactly. And also, like, what's that now? Obviously scored against United. Scored it didn't. That's the thing. The one for Son don't go down as an assist because it was an own goal. Like that's an assist. Yeah. Like
he's always the pre-assist though. That's the thing. He's never the actual assist. He creates goals and gets the plaudits from us because his name's not on the paper of the actual assist. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Football's not about that anymore. It's not about goals and assist contributions. It's what he actually does to the pitch, and he is bountiful. Is it bountiful? Is that a word? Just with his quality and yeah, he's fucking unbelievable. Kulusevski, and this is from Jackie in account. We'll finish on this, okay? By the way, all the questions honestly are quality, but I've got a haircut in 20 minutes, so I don't have time. But I actually might save a lot of them for the next pod. We'll be reacting to us fucking spanking Troy Parrott and AZ Alkmaar. Just fucking have that, mate.
Fuck off.
Jackie in the cat, he said, Kulusevski and Solanke are clearly two of our best players. Given that they combine technical quality with a brilliant physical presence, which a lot of our other players lack, is there something we should aim to target with future signings? Makes you far harder to beat. I feel like that is the meta now. You see it with Arsenal, you see it with Man City, and there's been this like new-born type of player that's come through of big physical but technical players. If you look at players like Morgan Rogers, João Pedro, Cunha, these players that they're almost like makeshift players. In the past, you didn't really have a position for them because they could cover so many positions, and or they weren't. Say for example, Cunha playing up front for Wolves, he weren't scoring enough goals. They put him deeper, and he's like one of their most important players. There is this new shift in Joe Linton. There's this massive shift in this type of player, that physical presence that combined with technical ability.
Yeah, so important.
Do you think we need? Do you think then in the market now we need more players like that? I think we do. I think we do massively. And João Pedro is another player. Cunha, I would take these players. I think they'd suit our system.
Yeah,
they could cover for Kulusevski and play up front. I think. But
yeah,
you said it a few weeks ago. Maybe the positions.
Yeah, you said it a few weeks ago about Pedro, didn't you? About almost like if we were to sign someone like that, actually using him as like an attacking number 8 because of his dribbling ability and his power.
So good.
It'd be so good.
So good.
Cunha's another one as well. I really like. I was watching this Wolves City game yesterday, and like again, that's where they were able to hurt Man City. This is what I mean. I'm looking forward to that cup game against City because if they rest players and we go a bit stronger, I think we could kill them in transition. And again, there's this narrative around Spurs that were too open and too naive and too vulnerable in the counter attack. What of Man City then? They can't defend for shit. Like they haven't been able to defend hardly. Fulham created more XG than them at the Etihad. Wolves yesterday. Look, City with the bet. Well, City by their own standards were quite poor, but Wolves didn't really have anything in the game. But the way they were able to hurt them, other than they were really solid defensively, did really well and were unlucky, but they hurt them on a break, and that's what direct runners who carry the ball well can do for you. And that's why I'm looking at that game in the cup against City and thinking exactly the two players that Jack's mentioned there, Solanke and Decky. Could be a bloodbath. No, but I think you're right. Look, you have to balance it as well because you can't look in those wide areas. You need players who are a little bit more nimble and are able to use their pace. And Johnson is really good for that, and Sonny as well. You don't necessarily want your big physical kind of brutes there because obviously Kulusevski hasn't got the pace necessarily to play in transition. But that's why he's able to just again, he has got pace. He's got a good burst of pace, Kulusevski. That's what he does have, and where he's able to draw players in where he slows it down, and we've seen that so many times. But yeah, players like Cunha will be good at Spurs. I think he's right, but you have to find a balance somewhere.
Yeah, I do think we do have a lot of slight players, though. We do have a lot of that. Like our personnel, I feel like you can't have too many. We've got Porro, Maddison, Bissouma. Maddison, Bissouma, they're tall, but they're quite slight. They do get stuck in, and they're getting stuck in more and more now, which is really good to see.
Yeah.
But I don't think when we sign players, I think we do need to aim a little bit more physical. Like the idea of us signing Jonathan David, it looks great on paper and financially because you're going to sign him for a cut price or on a free, but you're going to sign a 5'9" player.
I'd rather have Richie.
I would as well. But I just think we need to, and also versatility. I genuinely think our next signings, Spurs, should be João Pedro and Bowman. I know that's like 200 mil.
Yeah.
But I just feel like João Pedro can come in and or Cunha I think Cunha's not as good as João Pedro, but he's still that type of player. I think they could come in, they could rival a striker position, they could be that. You wouldn't have to rely as much on Kulusevski. You could rest him in certain places and have someone fulfill a similar role. And then Mbeumo, that bit of star quality, that game changer on the right, he can be rotated with Johnson, and then you've got Son sort of raising these young three players up to replace him, and Mikey Moore, Yang, and Odobert. I feel like there's a nice balance there. But Maddison, I do wonder, would you, when it comes to Maddison's position, would you look to sign a player that fulfills the same role but with more physicality, or should we just see what Sarr and Bergvall, Divine type they turn into, because they're going to have a lot of change from now to in 2-3 years where their bodies are going to change. They're going to get more physical. Bergvall's 6'1", 6 foot. He could be a monster. You never know. So young. Do you just rely on these players? Do you bring in players that could add a bit more physicality?
I think so. Again, it's about having different options in the squad and squad balance, isn't it? Maddison is still a quality player for us. Do you know what? I got laughed out the door in the summer when I said about Scott McTominay. He's doing really well at Napoli. I was laughing at you a little bit. He's doing really well at Napoli. Someone who's physical, who's good in transition, who can get on the end of chances. I'm not saying we should have done it, but it's not a bad
physical.
They're
in demand.
They are. That's the thing. They are kind of like, these players are. It's about how you use them, of course, and that's why McTominay is smashing it at Napoli, because it's like Conte. Fuck Conte, by the way, because he's gone 8 games unbeaten, conceding 2 goals. And he's playing 4-3-3. When was this at Spurs? What? He's playing 4-3-3, and he's gone 8 games unbeaten, and they're top of the league.
Ryan Mason was the problem, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Conte was never the issue. No, he's a cunt. I think. I was just thinking of someone else then. I think João Pedro is a long-term Son replacement who can be versatile, play out wide, play through the middle, play in midfield potentially as a number 10 or a number 8 would be an amazing signing for Spurs. And Bowman,
it'd be worth the money because you're signing 3 players combine the money. You're signing 3 players in one.
That's the thing. That's why transfer fees are bollock. I don't care about. It's I don't want to give Chelsea praise, but you know how and again he's not versatile, but Caicedo's been brilliant for them this season, right? And the mainstream media are reluctant to give him that praise because they went so big on him being a flop for £115 million. But midfielders who can do what they do are quite rare. Rice went for 100 million, he's gone for 115 million, and they're reluctant to kind of turn around and give him that praise. Look, he's not got the versatility, but when players are that rare and have those traits that they can be versatile or they can just do this one thing really well, I don't give a shit about the transfer fee. It's not my money.
No.
Like, do you know what I mean?
And people stop thinking about it as well. When was the last time people said about Caicedo's price tag now that he's actually performing?
Exactly.
Same with Rice.
Do you know, but again, and I don't want to be negative about it now, and it doesn't really matter now, and I know some Spurs fans really want Keane on it. This is why I would have loved Gallagher. I really thought Gallagher would have been a really smart signing for Spurs. Look at what he's doing at Atletico as well. He's been player of the month. Like, I think he's for this Spurs midfield, and especially the way we want to play, like rotating him with Maddison as that other number 10. Because what Gallagher's really good at is scoring goals and being really physical in midfield. Like, he's not the best passer. He's not as creative as Maddison. But when you want to turn teams over and get on the end of chances, Gallagher's brilliant. So, and he's physical.
Archie Gray, do you think he could be that sort of Gallagher type player? Maybe
over time. I was impressed with Gray when he came on.
Really,
I'm looking forward to seeing him on Thursday. Probably a left back once again, isn't it? But
he'll be playing fullback. That's the thing. We haven't really seen him in the midfield at all, really. But then that's the thing. That's the beauty of him being so versatile.
If Sarr can improve his end product in the final third, then I think you've also got a player there that can do that too. So, I'm excited for where Spurs go next in terms of their recruitment. But I do think Jack's got a good point.
Yeah, that's a player we've got ownership over at Betis. I mean, he's a big he's a big player, and he looks more like a destroyer plus distributor. Not too good, like agile and on the dribble, but and on the turn. But maybe that if we do activate that, maybe then he can. I don't think we actually will sign him, but he could be that sort of destroyer that we need. But then I actually think. Sorry, I do need to go, but I actually think, and there's this obsession with turning a centre back into a number 6, and I'm going to continue this obsession. I think Vuskovic in the next 5 years could turn into the best number 6 in the world.
What happened with Rice, didn't it? That's what Rice did. Like, and then
he was that sort of player as well. Progressive carries, passing, goals.
Yeah. People are talking about it with Romero. I don't see that. I don't think people just look at the progressive passing and dribbling numbers with Romero and his ability to break up play and think midfielder. Nah, it's because people want to shoehorn Dragic into the team, and it's like, I'm seeing stuff today about him maybe wanting to leave in January and go to Napoli. I'm like, fuck me. And people are like, well, they're like, again, they're upset about. So we had a question that we haven't answered about, like, is it time to give Dragic a run of games? It's like, no, no. Like, maybe after the Brighton game, ask me a different question, but ask me the same question. But I'm just excited to see the next phase of Spurs' recruitment.
And he's a player we've forgotten about who is that physical sort of presence that Jack's talking about as well. Everyone, you're all legends. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for getting the questions in. I'm sorry I didn't answer a lot of them today, but sort of run out of time. But a lot of them are still relevant for AZ, so I might keep them there to look at again in the future. But thank you so much for watching. Please get in the comments, subscribe, like the video, let your friends know about the podcast. We're going for that 1K mark by the end of the year. And I think we're on course doing it. But everyone, thank you so much. Up Spurs.
Up Spurs.
And we'll catch you later for the Aza, for the, what are they called?
Aza Alkmaar. Yeah. Fuck Troy Parrott.
Yeah, we'll fuck him up.
He's going to score. Up Spurs.
Michael Moore hat-trick. Up Spurs.
We'll be there.